Peace. Now's the vibrate. Y'all know what it is. This video is in connection with, we're gonna speak on, basically gonna take it down the quote unquote rabbit hole without getting lost down the rabbit hole. Just showing you again how the research from one area just took me through a little rabbit hole of different connections, and again, we're going to draw some connections to other videos for you to reference. Of course, do your own research, don't just believe and trust everything I'm saying, of course, I am a trustworthy, being in this area, but even still, you always want to do, your own little research and your own little checkup. And before going any further as well, shout out to Seven Bomar for, also expressing some of these same sentiments in the connection with the whole, the HayNes, connections with the dog energy and the baboon energy, because that's going to come up later. But, right now, just going right in, I was researching and kind of just checking up on some astrology, and I was noticing how the 5th house speaks to sex. And, and I'm like, the 8th house and the Scorpio energy is more connected to sex. I'm wondering why the 5th house is so connected to sex. Now, the 5th house is connected to the Leo energy, which is connected to the solar energy. If you think about the tarot cards, you got the representation of the tarot cards is a little baby riding a horse. A baby or a child represents, the act of reproduction or having sex, and then the sun could also be tied to the solar phallic energy. When you wake up in the morning, men, you got the morning wood, what I'm saying? Like that's all connected. And of course, with the sexual energy is also in essence tied to creativity and creation, but it's creativity and creation through the sexual act or through, some form of arts and stuff like that. With the Leo energy, it's kind of like, being on stage and performing in some way, being creative in some type of performance, because just like the sun shines, and in essence, has that performance and shines in front of everybody, the Leo energy represents that, getting in front of everybody and, wanting to take the stage and shine, because the sun takes the stage and shines, more than most other, objects in the sky. And this also connects to Yadalabroth, of course, Yadalabroth from the Gnostic scriptures, the lion-headed serpent, which is shaped like a sperm or a semen. And no coincidence that, even with saying serpent, and pent like pentagram, what I'm saying, which is a 5-sided, 5-pointed star, or, pentagon, like a 5-pointed, shape. And again, the connection with the 5th house, what I'm saying, with the pent energy and Yadalabroth, and again connected to Leo, connected to the solar phallic energy. And then also, I know I done posted or spoke on this drawing in videos, but just bringing it up again, with the whole 5-pointed star, and as above, so below. And from a fractal point, the parts of the body is also, the parts of the body contain the whole body. So the whole body is shaped like a pentagram in essence. And then the whole body is also represented in the hand that goes to reflexology, where you could touch certain points in the hand that connects with certain body parts, or certain parts in the foot that connect with certain body parts. I'm saying? Also certain parts in the face that connect with certain body parts. So the parts of the body contain the whole body within it as well. And of course, you see what a 5 is also in the middle of the numbers in essence, 1 through 9, because there is no numbers that go beyond 1 through 9. So you have that connection, and of course, could see it in essence somewhat like the heart chakra, being in the middle, just like the heart chakra is in essence in the middle of, the chakras, not counting, the multiple other chakras we have more than the 7 popular chakras, but, the 5 in essence is like in the middle, just like the heart chakra. And again, no coincidence that, along with the Cancer energy as well, but the Leo energy represents that heart energy also, and hence why, the crystal peridot, and most greenish, yellowish crystals, kind of like that heart/solar plexus area is connected to, the Leo energy. And of course, a little bit right here, Venus, orbits in a kind of smooth shape, like a rounded type of star shape, so it's also connecting to the Venus energy, as well. And then another video I did, let's see, just to bring this up right quick. Oh, wait. But I did a video about the pentaprism and connecting basically to the video I did about how the 12 zodiac signs is like 12 movie specialists, and being in an earthly incarnation in our avatars is like, acting in a movie, and I done made the reference of, like the example of like Denzel Washington on Training Day. Like what if he left the movie and was still acting like, like the dude he was playing on Training Day, aka like when we transition from Earth, if we're not trying to reincarnate back into this realm, we have to leave behind that attachment to the character or persona we was playing while in, the Matrix or in the movie, you know what I'm saying? And again, no coincidence that with certain cameras, you have this little mechanism called a pentaprism that also, has to deal with mirrors, because, you think about Alice in Wonderland, and the story of the god Yama, the Hindu god Yama, we're looking at his reflection, but, just those connections with, the mirror realms and going through mirrors. There was also that connection in the Magicians as well, but we're not going to go too deep about that. But again, the 12 movie specialists and seeing like the 12 zodiac signs is like movie specialists getting you ready for your performance here on Earth. And it's not to make light of, say it's not to, again, get into that vibe of like, oh, it's just all a movie, so do whatever you want, like, nah, you got to have awareness of, the role you're playing on the quote unquote set, in this realm of existence. But, you have that connection as well. But just getting back. So, let's see. Let me get to this other. But so again, just brought up that Venus, and I got other videos getting into this even deeper, the whole Venus and PHIve connection and the PHIve ratio in the body, again, 5 fingers of the hand, and also with the connection of 5, the 5 fingers of the hand is creating by modifying matter. You know what I'm saying? So we modify matter and we create certain things. Like I create, like this copper ring, from using my hands, People type or write books using their hands. You know, people prepare to do videos on YouTube or, lectures by using their hands and moving around all of the equipment that they need to use for the videos. So it's also, I'm making that reference, to see how with understanding all this, it's nothing that's extremely good or extremely bad. It's all part of the experience. Is just, how we deal with it and not getting caught up in the you could say the delusional aspect of the trickster energy or the paradox. But, so what came next was going into this book. This book is called Sefer Sapphires. And it's basically a gematria book in connection with, Hebrew letters. So they got the letter Hey. Hey, fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet connected with the idea of meditation, the pentagram, and the function of binah in creation. So right there you got the 5 energy in Hebrew connected to creation, like the 5th house, like we were just talking about, connected to the pentagram and connected to meditation. Now, I say also it's connected with vision, reason, observation, which leads to definitions, which in essence, again, leads to creation, because what they're saying is the vision, your reason or observation, which leads to defining things. And defining things, in essence, is like giving things a name, which, could also be connected to the whole atom energy. An atom in the in the Bible being brought out to name all the creatures of the land, aka giving them a definition, and again I spoke to how that's connected to the anime called The Time I Reincarnated as Slime. Not getting deep into that, but go look it up. The Time I Reincarnated as Slime. And it'll pop up. But you see that Hey connected in this manner. So also with the idea of meditation. So also, if I didn't get too into it, Brahman is connected to, Yadala Brat. He's like you could say almost like the Hindu version of what some may say is Yahweh or Yadala Brat energy. But Brahman is basically, he was sitting in darkness, trying to figure things out, kind of like, again, like the Yadala Brat energy, and, said a word, because matter of fact, Yadala Brat would just chilling in darkness and trying to figure things out and end up, expressing a word from his mouth, and that became one of his children, what I'm saying, or became the Whirl. And the whole connection with that first was the word, and the word is God, but the word was a God, but not the God or the source energy, what I'm saying? It was just the God of this realm, because again, if we are infinite, if we are forever, if we have no beginning or end, then we never was created. So that means, and again, as we talking about, as I said, we never were created as, as a soul, as a soul, our being existed, not on our human experience. Yes, this human body has a expiration date, what I'm saying? Because it was created at a certain point. Back to the whole sex energy, what I'm saying? And the creation of the body. So again, with Hey and it being connected to meditation, in the Hindu scriptures, they talk about how Brahman's sitting in darkness and, kind of in essence went into a meditation. So 2 different, matter of fact, 2 different religions, you know, our spiritual practices, when you talk about the Hindu with Brahmin, when you talk about Yadalabrat with the Gnostic scriptures, and when you talk about like Hebrew letters, you know what I'm saying, which, you know, is a whole different connection as well. And you see hey, and also shaped like a house. But the function of, oh, all right, that's from the book. So I'm going to go to this other part in the book right quick. So this is where it's going to shift. And matter of fact, before going to this part, just another PHIve connection. I know what we're going to do this first. It'll be better to do this first. So again, hey is the number 5, which is the glyph of woman typified by her negative phase. It is also the equivalent of one hand, 5 fingers, the hand itself being typical of fashioning, molding, and creating. Its ideograph was the calf ape, or the CynocePhalus, the special vehicle of the god Thoth, the moon. And notice, you know, again, the trickster and transformational type of energy where, you know, in some cases Thoth connected to Mercury, and then in some cases connected to the moon, you know what I'm saying? So you see, like, again, like just the shape-shifting aspect to, you know, this Thoth energy. But again, it's ideograph, which is kind of, in so many words, like a character, you know what I'm saying? Or alphabet, but, you know, like a character from a alphabet perspective, or a symbol perspective, to better say it. Its ideograph was the calf ape, or the CynocePhalus, the special vehicle of the god Thoth. This indicating the lunar nature of this fashioning. Woman produces the blood from which the flesh is fashioned. So we're going to kind of go in on that part, you know, with the whole ideograph was the calf ape, or the CynocePhalus, and also this connection with Thoth to the moon. Now, in the video I did, let's see what I have right here. The video I did on connecting the dots, the bunny ear rabbit symbology, and portal custodians, leapers, trickster, and giants. You know, that video goes into the connection of, like, you know, tying in the rabbit energy to the moon, you know, into the Thoth energy, you know, so basically showing you how, again, like this trickster god energy is also connected to rabbits, which is also connected to the moon energy. So we have that connection. All right, flip. So ideograph, I've said this part. Oh, let's get the focus back. Towards the moon. So what is a CynocePhalus? A CynocePhalus is a dog-headed being. So it's like, all right, you know, this connects, you know, Jehudi or Thoth to this dog energy. Now, also, you know, again, gotta make the anime references because they'll have the truth in it too. And that just helps for it to bring more truth to all of this ancient stuff in a modern type of way. You know, it's not saying, hey, go try to watch nothing but episodes. But for some of us, though, you know, especially those of us who kind of got more of a Piscean vibe, or, more of that vibe where we kind of, could learn, like even like with anime and stuff like that, where, cause anime not so programmed as much as other stuff, but, anime will have like, these storylines in it, which is very obvious and kind of like, again, it's like a fun way to learn from it, learn about it, because, for the most part, reading books is definitely, to get that true essence of scholarship, reading. And I also, though, there's an asterisk by that for me, though, because I also, understand that some of us are claircognizant, meaning that we could kind of have the truth just come to us, like a whole just paragraph or book of information just bloop, just drops down into our consciousness, without any book explanations, and I feel like if that could happen, then we also could be like the authors that, in essence, sometimes we quote so much. It's like, well, why you can't write a book, and not saying you can't, but that's the thing. It's like, well, why I can't be like Edgar Cayce, the sleeping psychic, and come up with, and in so many words, I'm using the word channel, but let's just say, to basically, unfold some knowledge from within me, from some experiences in a dream, or, deep in my subconscious from a DMT trip, things of this nature, who's to say, those things are not real. It's not real because, it's not in a book already. That's no knock to the scholarship and, the books, because it serves a purpose in essence when delivering, certain messages, but just had to, express that right quick. But anyway, so with the CynocePhalus, you got the dog-headed being, got the connection on Dragon Ball Z, the Ozura, Goku, when they got their tail, they turned to this Ozura baboon-like ape on a full moon, so this dog-headed being connected to Thoth, which is connected to the moon. You know what I'm saying? You got Dragon Ball Z, this Ozura ape on a full moon, and is also connecting to the werewolf energy, which is shape-shifting and transforming, just like, the Mercury energy, or just like Thoth. Now, also, Ani, Aani, is a dog-headed ape. So not just a dog-headed being, but a dog-headed ape, sacred to Thoth. Again, the CynocePhalus, aka a baboon. Egyptian hieroglyphic word for baboon is JN in the German style transliteration, and just to get a little, vibe on translation, difference between translation and transliteration, which is a somewhat of a Arabic word written out, but basically, the Allah. So like Allah in Arabic, the transliteration is by sound. So literally, this word sounds out Allah. You know what I'm saying? Translation is by meaning that even though this word sounds like Allah, it means God. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, Egyptian hieroglyphic word for baboon is JN, which is also connected to the jinn, the genie, trickster type of energy, with the whole, no coincidence, they call it like monkey paw type of wishes, the monkey paw, wish master, that whole energy, or like you wish to be the smartest person in the world, and then you get turned into a I don't know, a computer or some shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like I wanna be popular all across the world, and you turn into a mannequin in the most popular store across the world because you wasn't being specific. You know, I wish I could be with my family all of my life, you know, and then, you know, there's all those types of things, you know what I'm saying, to be aware of. But anyway, so also tying in another, not an anime, but a show on American Gods. This is why both Thoth and Anubis, you know, basically Anubis, Hermes, or Thoth and Anubis, they both were owners of the funeral home, you know what I'm saying, on the show American Gods. And then also on American Gods, you know, connecting to the jinn energy, you know, and this kind of, you know, a side note and what we're going to get into as well, you know, the jinn that was on the movie 3,000 Years of Longing, you know what I'm saying, where the jinn energy is connected to the electromagnetic energy, and the jinn was giving off like some heat, you know, it was like, you know, had like heat waves coming from his body, and he was affected by the electromagnetic energy of like the phones and stuff like that. And then you have American Gods, the jinn on American Gods also had fire in his eyes, you know, connecting to the heat on that level as well. Now we're going to make a switch. So you see how, again, the whole baboon energy, how that all connects. And now we're going to make a little shift to speaking on keeping it on the vibe of Thoth and the dog energy / baboon energy. You know, this is another connection. We're talking about cells and, you know, just going through the etymology of it, you know, an ion, ine, or ine, to go. And then you got different, cation is a positively charged ion with fewer electrons than protons. You know, so it has a positive charge. And this also gets into, so right quick, you know, you see it starts off with cat, and you think of the cat energy, you know what I'm saying, is more of a feminine type of energy, you know, because even a male cat kind of has like an energy of like pampering himself, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like the feminine energy. And then anion is a negatively charged ion with more electrons than protons. You know, and no bad or good, right or wrong, you know, it's just showing the difference in the energies, you know, because actually, quote unquote, negative ions could be healthy for our body, you know what I'm saying? The negative ions that's created from the ocean waves, you know what I'm saying, or fountains or water moving. You know, if you have a pyramid-shaped crystal or pyramid-shaped object, that in essence creates negative ions, you know, and negative ions help with the release of serotonin in the body, you know, so. But again, you see this cation and anion connection, and this goes deeper into how electrons represent more of the masculine energy. And this is the switch. And that's why, like, you know, like really getting into like studying, you know, the depths of the information. Because one would just say like, oh, you know, because the yin energy represents negative, so electron is automatically like a feminine energy. But when you really look at it, it's like, no, you know, electron moves more so like the air and fire energy, which is masculine, you know what I'm saying? And the protons in essence move more so like the water and earth energy because it's a little heavier and doesn't move as fast as the electron, just like water and earth, you know. Again, so going to cation, kato, which means down, you know, and moving down, you know what I'm saying, downward pointing triangles. And speaking of the symbols, of course, I'm missing a line, but like that's water and earth, you know, feminine energies. And anion, ano, up, moves up, which is like air and fire. And here you got Anu, which is a sky god from up in the sky. So, you know, the whole up thing. And then Ani, again, bring that back, dog-headed ape, sacred to Thoth, you know. And Thoth deals with kind of like the mental aspect, you know what I'm saying, all that writing, you know, and mental activity, which is also connected to the Mercury energy and also connected to actual Mercury, which I'll get into as well. But you see, again, the upper triangles, you know, air and fire, you know, and the mental aspect deals with air. And then Anubis, you know, Anubis, the dog-headed god of the underworld or of death. And again, just reiterating the whole connection with the Jinn energy. And so this connects the electrons, which we'll get into that. Oh, this is the part though too what I was talking about. Like basically feminine aspect from yin and yang perspective is negative, but when it comes to expression through protons are heavy like, you know, earth and water, feminine elements, you know what I'm saying? And again, weight, pressure deep in the ocean or water, you know, because of that weight pressure, the pressure from, you know, being underneath all of that water feels very heavy. You know what I'm saying? It's like going into the center or going into the nucleus, like how the proton is in the nucleus of the atom. Now, to also bring in some connections with the dog energy and the feminine and masculine energies, you know, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, you know, basically translated by Dr. Maurice Doriel, it says, every man's destiny leads him onward into the curves of infinity's all. And in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, they talk about the hounds of the barrier. Now, again, you know, the dog energy, you got Orion and Sirius, dog star. You got Osiris and Anubis, you know what I'm saying? And you got the whole Baron Sam, this ain't Lazarus energy, you know, with the dog energy, all being connected to being resurrected from the dead, you know, whether it's Osiris mythology, Baron Sam, this ain't Lazarus mythology, and even Orion. And Orion one is connected to the Scorpio energy, because in some of his mythologies, he was stung by a scorpion. You know, but that also, and again, all of this also speaks to the actual cosmology of, you know, when you look in the sky, Orion seems like it's running from the Scorpio constellation, you know, because neither one of them are both up in the sky at the same time, you know. So it's also, again, getting into the whole mythology is anatomy of our bodies and anatomy of the sky, and in connection with the constellations as well. So just a few quotes from, again, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And let me see, pull it up here. But it said, found I there the great barrier holding man from leaving this cycle. A glimpse the hounds of the barrier laying in wait for he who would pass them. For follow they fast the soul through angles. Only the circle will give ye protection, safe from the claws of the dweller of the angles. And it just basically goes into how these hounds of the barrier could only move through angles and not necessarily in circles, and how he could, get past the hounds of the barrier from moving in circles. And, again, you take the angles, it's like the extreme masculine or masculine. So literally, you know what I'm saying, is in the name masculine, the line, like straight lines, instead of the feminine, you know what I'm saying, which the 9 goes to a completion of a cycle, not being stuck in a cycle or being held back from leaving a cycle, where I forgot where it says it. Yeah, holding man from leaving this cycle, by only moving in angles, moving in the feminine, and check out, I just did the video just showing the math of 9 and 0 and how they connected. And it's again like the full understanding of the 360 degrees of knowledge, aka the full circle. We talk about our natal chart in astrology. You're looking at your whole natal chart, the whole full circle, not just your sun sign, not just where your Mercury placed at, not just, one placement or one angle, but, the full circle of angles. So let's take a little breather. So, again, instead of a few angles, you get the full circle. And again, a degree sign, is actually like a halo. So no connection, no coincidence that, we talk about angles and angels. And again, an angle is measured by degrees, and the degree sign is a little circle, which is like a halo, so giving more little connections to that as well. And this could also have the meaning of not over-identifying or attached to, particular zodiac signs. Again, me right now, again, this may have other meanings to it, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just what I'm saying, but, this is my connection, my explanation in connection with this information. Now, also going back to the 5 and the PHIve energy, also looking at, so this is the etymology connected to the Thai magic traditions. There's a book called Thai Magic Traditions, and it has like a glossary in the back. And, you look at the words that's connected to PHIve. You got PHIve as a ghost and spirit, PHIve band, ancestor spirits. Got PHIve Krazu, ghosts which feed on excrement, and ghosts that feed on shit, in essence, which is interesting. PHIve Reem, ancestor spirits. And then PHIve Tehong, ghost of people who died inauspiciously. But you see a lot of references either to ghosts or, or ancestor spirits, and when we think about like, the reincarnation process and like, being stuck in cycles, you know what I'm saying? Like a ghost being stuck in a house, not being able to leave out of a certain cycle, in essence, you could almost say like being stuck in the angles, like, again, this connection to, that's made in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, with the hounds of the barrier, being able to catch you if you're running in angles, because they dwell in the angles. You are safe when you are moving in circles, instead of, and not saying running in circles, like, what I'm saying, like lesson loops, but just more so moving curve, like that would be a better way to say it as well, what I'm saying, or like cycling, up. So even though you may, You know, so say for instance, if I'm making a circle on this paper, but my finger rising up and rising up and rising up, you know, technically you're going over some of the same, you know, I'm going over the same spot, like my fingers touching this paper, but I make a circle up here. So I raise my finger up and make a circle and keep rising and rising. Yeah, you going over the same spot, but it's on a different level from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when we think about any type of energy work, when you're doing Reiki work, you know, the Choku Rei symbol, you know, to move the energy around and bring that good energy in. You know, they do have one angle, one little part that's like an angle in it, but, you know, it's a little circular symbol, you know, to move that energy around. You think about spinning your chakras, you know, to move the energy around, you know. And again, see that connection with PHIve, with the spirits, you know, and the ghosts, and kind of in essence, you know, pointing to how, you know, the PHIve energy and, you know, could possibly get, you know, it's a reference to being stuck in the body in that sense, you know, from the ghost perspective, you know, and how some ancestors, our blood ancestors, not necessarily our, you know, infinite ancestors, our ancestors that in essence goes beyond the physical connection, you know, but more so our ancestors who incarnated into the physical, you know, which in so many ways is us, but that's a deeper, you know, situation. But let's just say, you know, like our grandmother, you know, elder family members, you know what I'm saying, who done transition, you know, like those type of ancestors. But you see the connection with that as well. Now also, let's see. Which, again, it's just the whole connections from the other video I referenced. And then also realizing from myself, just my own experience, bringing up the connection with Mercury, you know, for one, when I work with Cinnabar, you know, which has mercury in it, is a crystal that has mercury in it. And literally, like, I could feel like my mind being able to move like very, very quickly, you know, almost so much so to where it was like almost overwhelming to some extent. You know, definitely like felt like a grounding crystal was needed also with working with that crystal. But, you know, you had the mercury connecting to also, so the Cinnabar crystal having mercury in it, but this also connects to the rabbit energy, or more so, you know, the Alice in Wonderland story where you got the Mad Hatter, you know, the Mad Hatter, you know, wearing a hat, like the trickster energy. And you'll see what I'm talking about with the whole Mad Hatter thing and the different references to, you know, again, like wearing the top hat, you know. Again, nothing good or bad, wrong or right, you know, and even seeing myself like, you know, connecting with that energy, but then, you know, getting a better understanding and realizing like, all right, this archetype exists within me, but, you know, I'm not just this archetype by itself, you know. But also with the Mercury energy, Mercury is connected to, again, writing stories and telling stories, which is also connected to Anansi, you know, and just seeing like, oh, all these different types, you know, of deities that's all connected to this one being. Because you think about what's funny is the show American Gods literally had about they made the joke about Jesus having like 5 different Jesuses on the show, but literally Toth was like, you know, on the show about in 5 different ways to some extent, because technically Wednesday or Woden or Odin is like the Toth energy. Anansi was on there and he's like the Toth energy. Then you had the actual Toth energy, and then, you know, with the whole DJhAnubis vibe, you know, Anubis was on there too, which is connected. So it's like, you know, he was on there about four different ways, you know. And again, going down the rabbit hole, this was on the Matrix and Alice in Wonderland. And also though, there's, again, with the whole Mercury aspect, there was said that, you know, certain hat makers was taking Mercury, and that's where you got also the little phrase "mad as a hatter," not only from Alice in Wonderland, but, you know, from actual hat makers taking Mercury and in some ways becoming mad. So, you know, and again with the DJhAnubis or dog baboon, you know, and the warrior energy, again, the Saiyan soldiers were like, you know, like soldiers, you know, like how they put dog tags on soldiers, you know what I'm saying? Again, they would turn Golden Ozura, you know, they would turn Ozura when the moon was full. So that's also, again, connecting all those little dots as well. There's some other connecting the dots. And, you know, speaking of Mercury, T-1000 from the Terminator represents Mercury. Because you ever seen Mercury? Mercury also, that's another aspect to Mercury. Mercury is liquid. It's like a liquid metal, but then also when you look at it, it has like a mirror reflection on it, you know, so kind of also showing the whole little hall of mirrors type of energy, you know, because Mercury has like a little mirror image. Like if you look at Mercury, you could almost like see your reflection in like a mirror, you know. So it also, again, like through the looking glass, Alice in Wonderland, and that whole energy. Let's see. So also, with the whole electron vibe, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna stop it right here and I'm gonna make this a second video to cover this part. So we see the whole energy of the 5, you know, the letter Hey, fifth house. It started from looking at the 5th house in astrology and got, you know, all the way to these little parts of connecting it to the letter Hey and the whole CynocePhalus energy, dog-headed being. But I'm going to continue this in another video. So now's the vibrate.